The Giants beat the best team in baseball. Who are the big winners of the weekend? And what's next for the Giants this week? That's all coming up on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. My name is Alan Stiles. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay Area. I also host a show in Sacramento where I live now, Sacktown Sports 1140, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., the Alan Stiles Show. Go ahead and check that out as well. And I MC at Sacramento River Cats games. At the end of the day, I am just lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. It's time to discuss the Giants beating the Brewers, the best team in baseball, the biggest winners of the weekend, and what's coming up this week. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5-h-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. Okay, let's do it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first series the Giants have won since I have taken over the Locked On Giants podcast, and I am incredibly excited to do so. I actually don't really know what to do. I'm not used to this. You know, I'm used to sitting here and talking about what they didn't do and how they got close or how they laid down or how they laid an egg, but we don't have to do that today. We don't have to do that, and the Giants don't play today. So we get to enjoy this all day long, and I am going to bask in it. I'm sorry. I am going to bask in it. I wouldn't call it an overreaction because we'll discuss what's coming up for them and the reality of the situation, but I am going to enjoy that the Giants won a series on a road against the best team in baseball. And you know what? You should too. It's been a really tough second half of the season. There have been a lot of random things happening. They've lost in stretches that we haven't seen since the Theodore Roosevelt administration. We deserve to enjoy this, okay? We'll get into the X's and O's. We'll talk about the wild card and how they're probably still too far away. We will. But we got to enjoy this for a second. They look like a completely different team. And you could tell that they were getting close. You could tell that they wanted to go out to Milwaukee. And you know what? This is what we always talk about. If you played any sport on any level, or you've coached, or your kids have played, what is the old saying? Teams always kind of step up to face the best in the league. Right? And hopefully in those situations, most of the time, you're the best in the league, and you're telling your kids or whoever it is, hey, they're going to be ready to play you. Now, the Giants were on the other end of that. They stepped up their game because they knew that they had the Brewers, and they had just gotten embarrassed. I know they didn't get swept to the Padres, but it was a 4-game series. They knew that this thing could get a little bit squirrely if they didn't come with their best effort. And that's exactly what they did. You know, they won a series against the best team in baseball on the road. You did not hear that incorrectly. You are not being punked. That's what happened. And on top of that, they did it after losing the first game in walk-off fashion. Now, the last time the Giants won 2 in a row, it was the last game against the Rays and then the first game against the Padres. And I think it had been so long since we had seen some good and some positives to talk about that, yeah, I probably got a little bit ahead of myself. So I'm not going to do that this time. I'm not going to read off their upcoming schedule the same way we did and talk about their strength of schedule, which I got burned last time because the Rays, that was supposed to be the series that they won. Simply going to enjoy the fact that the Giants won a series and fought their tails off in order to do it. They could have laid down after that walk-off, right? With that losing streak expanding or extending to 4 games, turning it into a free-for-all. But they didn't. They decided enough was enough. And it just felt like they were fed up. And you could feel it. Like I said, on Friday, they couldn't close it out, but you could just feel the energy, win or lose. And I'm telling you, I would have felt this way if every game looked like Friday. I still would feel this way. All right, maybe I wouldn't feel as good, but the effort that they showed, the pride that they played with that I keep talking about, I saw it. And they look like a completely different team than what we saw during that homestand and in San Diego. Willy Adames, a bit emotional, right, in his return. He balled out. The Brewers, another opportunity for them to kind of ride that momentum. Okay, they lose 7-1 that second game. Hey, we're celebrating Bob Uecker. Let's go out on Sunday and take care of business. And the Giants said no. The Giants said enough is enough. We're not going to keep playing as poorly as we've been playing. And I got to give all the credit in the world to the players, all the credit in the world to Bob Melvin. And I know some of you are watching, and thank you for watching on YouTube, and thank you for listening. However you listen to your podcasts, I know there's some of you out here right now thinking this dude Allen is overreacting. This is the first time we're seeing the Giants win a series. Now we're seeing a different side of Allen. It's not overreacting. I'm telling you, it's just enjoying. And we all should enjoy what we got to watch because we haven't seen a lot of it. We haven't seen the Giants get punched and then punch back. We haven't seen the Giants get knocked down and get back up and knock down their competitor. We haven't seen it in a very long time. What we saw, as far as the time frame where I've been doing this show, they won a Rays game after the series was done. They won a Padres game in a very, very tough fashion. Okay, they barely hung on to it and then proceeded to lose the next 3 games. So this is not something that we've seen before. Like I said, we got the big winners coming up in just a second here, but the whole team was a big winner, at least to show that you can compete with the best team, not just in the NL, but in the league. And you can do it when everything isn't going your way. Yeah, I know they won the Logan Webb game and they won the Robbie Ray game. I know that. But they were right there where Carson Wisenhunt started a game. They were right there in different situations, right? You got it in you. It's probably too late. We'll do the math a little bit later, like I said, but you do have it in you. And maybe there was a bit of a reminder. Now, I will say, Oracle these days is looking like the boogeyman. I don't know if there's another team in the league that possibly doesn't want to go home. But if there, and I'm not saying that the Giants don't, but I'm saying if there is a team like that, it's probably the San Francisco Giants. But we will handle that when we need to handle it. Obviously, we're on Monday through Friday, so I'll be here with you when they do start that series against the Cubs, who have been rolling. But for now, we're just going to bask in this and enjoy that the Giants were able to do something we haven't seen them do in what feels like months. It sure does feel like it. And they sat there and they said, enough is enough. We're not going to lay down. We know we're on the road. We know our backs are against the wall, but you're not just going to look at us as an easy series. Because honestly, you look at the Giants, and that's not to say that they are, some rollover team, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but they're definitely not looked at as the cream of the crop right now. So they got to kind of earn their respect, and that's what they did against the Brewers. So shout out to them and their effort. That's really my biggest takeaway. Look, we obviously are going to look ahead because that's literally what we're supposed to do. But I really want to, in this episode, just for majority of the episode, just enjoy that the Giants showed up in a big way and did things that we haven't seen them done in a long time. All right, let's get into some of those details into who balled out for the Giants. We have the big winners of the weekend coming up next. Don't move. More Locked On Giants right after this. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your whole energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-hour energy transfusion delivers a clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. I remember my first chip like it was yesterday because it was my first and as of right now, my last chip. But it's all about good times with good people. That's what golf is about, as well as good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor of 5-hour energy transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5-h-e-win.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters Tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. I've been meaning to tell y'all about my new favorite jeanswear brand, Doer. I've been living in their stretch canvas utility jacket, and honestly, they've completely changed the game for me, and the timing couldn't be better. Doer is opening a brand new store in Hayes Valley on August 29th, and let me tell you why it's worth making this trip. I've worn my stretch canvas utility jacket to work, running errands, grabbing dinner with friends, even to sporting events, and they never miss. They have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, so you get that perfect fit without feeling restricted. The Cool Max technology regulates your temperature and wicks away moisture, perfect for those unpredictable days in San Francisco. Doer combines classic jeanswear style with the comfort and performance of athletic wear without sacrificing that said style. And Doer will be opening a brand new store in Hayes Valley on August 29th. Head on over to 567 Hayes Street and mention my code LOCKEDONSF in store for 15% off your first order, or go to shopdoer.com/LockedOnSF. That's DUER for 15% off online. Trust me, once you try them, you'll never want to wear anything else. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. Time for the weekend winners. Luis Matos and Casey Schmitt. Those are the weekend winners to me. Could be the whole team. I think it is the whole team, but I'm going to say Luis Matos and Casey Schmitt. Look, they knew and know the opportunity that's in front of them, and you got to applaud them for showing up in a big way. Luis Matos, in his 15 at-bats, is hitting .533 with 8 hits and 2 home runs. Just an absolute tear that he's been on since getting called up and spending that time in AAA after the Yaz deal. And I don't think we talk enough about how beautiful that swing is when he is getting all of that baseball. That dude can really put a charge into it. And it's obvious to see why everyone has been so high on him. And it's just been an interesting season for him. He's basically been with the big league club all season, but didn't play a ton. Like I've said, he's gotten decent shake at it. I don't think it's a matter of, not getting enough time, but he also was never the everyday right fielder in that rotation with Yaz. I would say he was in the rotation, but he was never, hey, you are our right fielder, right? He was in that rotation, but wasn't given kind of that pure opportunity to be the right fielder every single day. So Yaz gets traded, not necessarily to give Matos runway, because he gets sent down, right? And Encarnacion, if you've already forgotten, it feels like it was a while ago, but Encarnacion may have locked it down if not for injury, right? The Giants trade for another outfielder, and he immediately gets pulled up, and Drew Gilbert, Grant McCray gets an opportunity, and Matos just does his thing in AAA and shows up when he gets another shot at it, right? So, you got to give him his just due and kind of applaud him for doing his thing. Obviously, we got to see how his season ends, but this is something that I think we were hoping to see earlier in the season. And honestly, I think I said last week, I thought the Giants may have felt that that they had seen enough, especially because Gilbert is still up with the big club. But Matos, he gets a start against the lefty in Quintana to kick off the series and balls out, hits that home run. So he gets the nod for the rest of the series, even against the righties. So I think it's really nice to see what he's been able to do on the other side. Of course, I still feel like they're going to bring in somebody else. I feel like they just have to, right? But that's no knock on Luis Matos. I think the Tyler Fitzgerald situation may have made the Giants look at things a bit differently. And there are different levels you can bring in, right? You can decide. It's the same thing as the Patrick Bailey conversation. And Patrick Bailey even drove in a hit this weekend. So shout out to him. But you can look at it and say, hey, if Luis Matos finishes on a tear, Luis, you're going to be the guy, but we're going to bring in a vet guy just because. If you, I don't want to say don't believe in Luis Matos, or if he cools off or whatever, you can say, hey, we're going to go big fish hunting for a right fielder. So there are a couple of different ways that the Giants can play this, but after Tyler Fitzgerald's crazy tear and the Giants basically saying you're going to be our second baseman, and he clearly just wasn't ready. And then the Giants basically had a hole at second base until, and that leads me to my other big winner of the weekend, Casey Schmitt. Now, obviously, Casey Schmitt doesn't just play second base. He's played all over the infield, but he's kind of locked down that second base because it became a hole after Tyler Fitzgerald just wasn't able to figure it out. So good on Casey Schmitt. I think in Casey Schmitt's case, you had Christian Koss doing his thing, right? And obviously they're both kind of battling it out as young guys, but Casey Schmitt kind of feeling as if, okay, he's kind of on my heels a little bit. And if I slip up, I might get leapfrogged in a way. And Casey Schmitt, I still want to see more of him defensively, but he's really been doing his thing. He's been slashing 269, 341, and 479 with 9 home runs and an 820 OPS. Basically since Matt Chapman has been in and out that IL stint. So he's kind of locked down that position. He's been back, like I said, second base. He's been somewhere in the infield for that amount of time. Kind of similar to Luis Matos, you can make a decision on whether or not you want to move forward with Casey Schmitt as your guy, but he's probably done enough to at least earn that nod initially, and maybe you bring in another vet guy, go from there. And if he's able to figure things out, cool. Or if he's able to keep things going, I should say, cool. But you have a contingency plan, and that contingency plan could also be Christian Koss, right? I think the tough thing with the Giants is you're just kind of looking around trying to figure out, okay, well, who has the highest ceiling? And we just simply don't know that yet. I think Casey Schmitt has a higher ceiling than Christian Koss, but do I see either of them as the second baseman for the next 5 years? We'll have to see. One more segment with you. Don't move. On the other side, we discuss what's coming up this week for your San Francisco Giants. Locked On Giants, coming right up. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP shot or eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So take that flyer on whoever is going to be the Browns QB for MVP. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. What is coming up this week for your San Francisco Giants? And, kind of just break it down. Like I said, I'm not going to do the schedule watching thing per se, but we will discuss what is on the horizon for the Giants. The Cubs come to town tomorrow. So that's just straight up, give me those games that you have on me from the wild card perspective. And really, they're looking at 31 games to make up 6. That's where the Giants are at right now. The Cubs are 8-2 in their last 10 games, trying to hold on to what they have, right? They're 5 games back of the Brewers, so it's not impossible for them to catch them, kind of similar to the Giants trying to catch the wild card. And unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, they're kind of looking at the Giants as if they have to have this series. And, there's no level of disrespect. That's just you looking at the numbers and whoever else is on their schedule. The Giants aren't the bottom of the barrel by any stretch of the imagination. But if you're trying to catch the Brewers, you have to beat a Giants team who's just been completely awful at home. And we don't even know if they want to go home. Now, I know I said I'm not doing the schedule watching, and I'm not, right, in that I'm not going to sit here and say what I think is an easy series versus a hard one. I'm not doing that anymore after the Rays series. But just as far as the numbers are concerned, the Mets would just have to go 16-16 over their next 32 to get to 85 wins. The Giants would have to go 22-9 to get to 85 wins. Now, it might not take 85, but as we kind of talked about last year, it was 89 wins to get into the wild card. The year before that was 84, and it feels like it's maybe closer to 2 years ago than last year, with all of these wild card teams kind of just stumbling a bit. The Mets do have the Phillies this week. The Reds have the Dodgers this week. The Diamondbacks have the Brewers this week. But again, the Giants have the Cubs. So everyone is kind of kicking off the week with a tough series. And as you can tell, it's really hard for me to not schedule watch, even when I say I'm not going to do it. But, ultimately, it's not really about the schedule at this point. It's about doing what they did this weekend, even if they don't end in victories, right? You just have to play with a level of pride, play with a level of fight that it feels like we haven't seen in a very long time. And I think that's most important for the Giants at this point. Just go out there and, we're just personally, we're looking at specific things, right? Does Luis Matos keep figuring it out? How does Casey Schmitt close out the season? Drew Gilbert, does he get another opportunity? Christian Koss, all of the young guys, and the Giants kind of deciding who are we going to be able to move forward with. Marco Luciano, I know I talked about that injury scare last week. He ended up re-entering the lineup yesterday for the River Cats. The River Cats, they did not win. Okay. The score is not necessary, but they did not win. Marco Luciano did homer though. So any chance he gets a shot, right? The way that Luis Matos is playing doesn't seem like it. So those are kind of the things that we're going to tie up towards the end of the season here. If the Giants do happen to get hot, obviously we'll keep you in the loop, and we'll stay on top of reporting on all that. But realistically, I mean, 22-9, that's you're going to have to mix in some sweeps, right? Even if you're winning series, that's fine, and that's all fine and good. And we can double check. Like I said, they don't play tonight. So tomorrow when we do the next episode, we can double check and kind of break down, is this winning every series? Are they going to have to sweep some teams? But, the reality is 31 games is not a lot of games to make up 6. And it was different when we did have that Rays series to kind of hang on. It was different when they had 4 games against the Padres, because even though the Padres are a good team, a lot of familiarity there. You only have to travel, 6-7 hours. I know that place is always rocking, but maybe you could have taken 2 from the Padres after winning a Rays series and, make some ground there. They weren't able to do that. So it's kind of tough for me to be optimistic from the standpoint of the wild card, but we can find plenty of things to be optimistic about. And this past weekend got us off to a really, really good stretch for the Gigantes. So a shout out to them. And look, man, I got to give a shout out to Bob Melvin. I don't know if he was in there giving any given Sunday type of speech to get them going on Friday night heading into the series or before they arrived in Milwaukee. But if I'm going to get on him when the Giants lose, I got to give him his kudos when the Giants win. And he had them boys ready to play against the best team in baseball. So shout out Bob Melvin. He's a big winner in my book. Obviously, a lot of us have been on him just because he's a manager. It kind of comes with the gig. But shout out Bob Melvin, getting them guys ready to play. And we'll discuss how this thing goes. If, 22-9 might be crazy, but, what if they get to the 17 wins or something like that? And, it kind of looks, okay, well, they ended on a good stretch. What if they beat the Cubs and win a couple series that would be really nice for them and some tough opponents? we'll have that Bob Melvin conversation when it's time. But for right now, like I said, just bask in the big series win that the Giants pulled off that a lot of us did not think that they had in them. I know I didn't, but sometimes it takes having your back against the wall against the best to really show up. And the Giants showed us that, look, even if it's not about this season, they definitely have the bones to compete in the future. They got to tweak some things. That roster obviously has holes, but sometimes it's not about the holes, it's about the heart. And that's what the Giants showed this past weekend. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @Styles Files, Styles with an I, and continue to get the word out. We're feeling really good about Locked On Giants right now and where it's at. We're feeling even better today with the Giants getting their first series win since I have taken over the show. So I appreciate every one of you listening and watching. I really, really do. Let's keep this thing going as the Giants are trying to close out their series or close out their season on a strong note. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.